Hello friends, welcome back to Joen Academy. I trust you've been having a great time. In this video, we'll be looking at the introduction to the nervous system. Our basic material source for this lecture is going to be the Essentials on Medical Physiology by the K. Simbulingam and P. Simbulingam. So what is the major function of the nervous system? The major function of the nervous system is basically the regulation of the activities of the body. Although other systems like the endocrine system also regulate the activities of the body, but the nervous system regulates the activities of the body faster than the endocrine system. Primarily, the nervous system is divided into two parts. We have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. It is actually formed by the neurons and the neuroglial cells. The neuroglial cells are just the supporting cells of the nervous system. So the structures of the brain and the spinal cord are actually arranged in two layers. We have the gray matter and the white matter. The gray matter is formed by the cell bodies of the neurons and as well as the proximal part of the neurons, whereas the white matter is formed by the remaining parts of the neurons. So in the brain, the gray matter lies in the outermost part of the brain, whereas the white matter lies in the innermost part of the brain. But in the spinal cord, the white matter lies in the outermost part of the spinal cord, whereas the gray matter lies in the innermost part of the spinal cord. It is important to note that the brain is located in the skull, and it continues as the spinal cord, passing through the foramen magnum, passing through where? The vertebral column. There are important structures that surround the brain and the spinal cord. These important structures are the meninges. There are actually three layers of these meninges. We have the outermost layer, which is known as the dura mater. We have the middle layer that is called the arachnoid mater, and the innermost layer, which is known as the pia mater. There is a space between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater, and this space is known as the subarachnoid space. So this space contains an important fluid known as the cerebrospinal fluid. This cerebrospinal fluid does one important function, which is what? It suspends the brain and the spinal cord, thereby preventing the brain from having an attachment between the skull, and then also for the spinal cord, it prevents the spinal cord from having attachment to the vertebral column. So basically, the cerebrospinal fluid provides what? Cushioning effect to the brain and the spinal cord. Briefly, let's look at the parts of the brain. The brain is actually divided into three parts. We have the prosencephalon, the mesencephalon, and the rhomboencephalon. The prosencephalon is also known as the forebrain. It is further divided into two parts. We have the telencephalon and the diencephalon. The telencephalon is actually comprises of the cerebral hemisphere, the amygdala nucleus, the hippocampus, and the basal ganglia. Whereas the diencephalon comprises of the thalamus, the subthalamus, the hypothalamus, and the metathalamus. For the mesencephalon, it is also known as the midbrain. The rhomboencephalon is also known as the hindbrain. It is further divided into two parts. We have the metencephalon and myelencephalon. The metencephalon comprises of the pons and the cerebellum, whereas the myelencephalon is also known as the medulla oblongata. It is important to note that the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata are all regarded as the brainstem. Having stated this, let's quickly look at the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is actually formed by the neurons and the processes of these neurons. It comprises of the neurons that is coming out from the brain, which is what? The cranial nerves, and the ones coming out from the spinal cord, which is known as the spinal nerves. So the peripheral nervous system is also divided into two parts. We have the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system does somatic functions. So the somatic functions comprises of the muscular activities of the body, and as well as it brings about movement. For the autonomic nervous system performs basically visceral functions. It regulates the visceral activities of the body. It is also known as the vegetative or the involuntary nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is also divided into two parts. We have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So guys, this is just the introduction to the nervous system. In our subsequent videos, we'll be looking at the neurons and the various functions, parts of neurons. Okay, so share these videos with your loved ones. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button. God bless you. God got you. Peace.